I know that BlackRock invested $400 million in miners, and they seem to be doubling down. There is this aspect where the civilian libertarian ideological war on Federal Reserve banks happens to coincide quite frequently with the global banking institutions like the World Bank and IMF, similar desire to end or restrict the national Federal Reserves when it results in their own profits. Well, I'm so glad you brought up the Tether situation because, you know, I mentioned I was a little surprised when I was asked to speak here because I just published a video called Bullish on Bullshit, which was a reason to invest in Bitcoin because there was a scam at the heart of it called Tether, which was supporting its liquidity and which was pumping up the Bitcoin price through the process that you just described.
So, Mike, they're not pumping the price of Bitcoin. They're pumping the price of the amount of liquidity that fiat needs to prevent the impairment of really bad just policies and zombie companies that need another breath of the fiat air, right, or the fiat liquidity.
What would happen to the price of Bitcoin if Tether died tomorrow?
Well, it would, in the short term, if liquidity dries up, Bitcoin gets punished. We've seen this over and over again. But they can't let that deflation rip through the economy or else everybody's living in tent city, right?
Hence, bullish on bullshit. That's exactly right. They have to keep it going in order to prevent that collapse. And it's, you know, I see Tether as crypto BCCI. I don't know if folks are familiar with the Bank of Credit and Commerce International. It was a CIA proprietary bank that was used in the 1980s. It was propped up by a Pakistani National Front at the time when the CIA was working with the Pakistani intelligence service to train and arm the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. These are the roots of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And we were training these Islamo-nationalist fascist groups, essentially, to fight off the Soviets. And we were running drug proceeds, the poppy that grew on the Golden Crescent, we were turning it into cash through the CIA bank called the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, and then converting that to cash and then funding our CIA mercenaries with it. And it grew to be one of the largest banks in the world because other depositors didn't know that this bank's pristine status as one of the world's leading banks was built on basically CIA drug proceeds and all these intelligence services using it as a laundromat for otherwise illicit activity. So when it collapsed, it took down a huge portion of the economy with it. It was a major, major scandal. And Tether, to me, appears to be the crypto version of that. And I think that they've been allowed to not have audited books, despite being the third largest cryptocurrency currently after Bitcoin and Ethereum. Tether, which is not even, it's just a stable coin. It's just supposed to represent a fiat dollar, and yet it's the third largest crypto on all of crypto market cap. And now Circle, which is formerly U.S. regulated, and as I mentioned, has partnerships with the CIA to overthrow foreign governments, is now the sixth largest cryptocurrency. So you have the number 3 and number 6, which are, this is like the primary use case almost for crypto, is to be useful to the state to do proxy wars with other states. But I do think that's a reason to be bullish, if you will, because it's so useful that I think Tether will rise. I think that Circle will rise, and that will give more liquidity to the Bitcoin market, and that will raise the price of it. And especially, I mean, Paul Ryan, who was the former Speaker of the House, Republican Speaker of the House.
We got to wrap, but I think we would love for you guys to do a podcast together to really riff on this.
All right.